Don't say sussy things.
Oh wait, you start streaming?
I think it started. Yes, it did.
Oh, what are we talking about?
The tier list.
Okay, cool. Alright. So now we are
Hold on,
going to
hold on.
be ranking the
Chief,
different
chief,
types of
hold on,
balls
dude,
and what
bruv, brother. My bad.
what
The tier maker website was reloaded.
oh
Alright, now we
you're
can
okay.
start. Now we can start. When are you ready?
Do you know what the tier list looks like?
I have a general memory of it.
Let me send it to you.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna add a couple more tiers though.
Ah, this way. Like, I'm not gonna know what tiers to put them in though. That's the thing.
A, B, C, D, S. Wait, we have S, A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah. Did you? Wait up, wait up.
I have to change the colors now though.
Oh, you added an E. Can you like tell me what tiers everything's in?
The soccer ball stays A. A golf ball and tennis ball probably still. Soccer ball stays S. Golf ball, tennis ball probably stay A. We can discuss it throughout the thing, if we like really feel sussy about it.
Alright.
I'm well. Ping pong definitely still stays F. I would say basketball
Yep.
moves up one or two, because it's better than a ping pong realistically. I would say it's better than a kickball.
That is fair.
I would say
Are
it's
you
better
sure it's better than a kickball?
because they're about just as they're about the same throwing difficulty, and mass is very different.
Do you think we should put bouncy balls with ping pong?
We could maybe one higher though, because they're a lot. They're gonna have a much higher velocity.
How about we put the basketball E tier and we can be like,
You're D.
though basketballs and ping pong balls are the two extremes when considering when considering the masses of the balls we have, the basketball does logically do more damage to the opponent when playing dodgeball. So we're gonna move it up a tier to E tier. Does that make sense?
Yep. All right.
Cool. So it's gonna be soccer ball S, tennis ball, golf ball A, football, volleyball B, bouncy ball, kickball C, basketball E, and then ping pong ball F.
Honestly, I'm kind of tempted to move tennis ball down one.
Oh, really? I feel like we should just keep it like this because it really makes no difference. It's just easier to explain at this point.
This is important to me now.
Alright, wait. How far down would we move
What
it?
would the justification be?
Huh?
Because how much faster would a golf ball fly than a tennis ball? Because
It would be the same.
no, because I feel like you could throw a golf ball significantly faster than a tennis ball.
Mm,
And like I feel like that difference in mass, what is it like, 0.1 kilogram or whatever it is? Like yeah, it's almost negligible. Not really, but like it's because like it's 0.03 and 0.02. Wait, no, that's the radius. It's 0.05 and 0.04.
yeah. Um.
Like what is it? It's 4.6 grams and 5.8 grams. Never mind, it's 45 and 57. Same thing.
Wait, so what should we do?
I feel like we should have tennis ball down one.
How would you explain it?
The difference, because say that you can throw a golf ball significantly faster than a tennis ball, and that makes up that more than makes up for the uh, 10 gram difference between the two, and therefore
Okay.
a tennis ball is more similar to a volleyball or Canadian pigskin, because even though those are
Uh,
bigger, you can throw it faster.
I have an idea. How about we rank them all like together? So like we put soccer ball on S tier, golf ball, tennis ball on A tier, football, volleyball on B tier, bouncy ball and kickball on C tier, and then ping pong ball and basketball on F tier. Have nothing on E tier. And then once we're done ranking all of them, we go back and then we put tennis ball down one and we put basketball up
I
one.
see. Yeah, that's big.
Just like we go and then we're like, okay, logically speaking, this, that, and
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
And then we could be like, as you can see, we didn't need to make many changes to this, and that shows how momentum is a good indicator of a good ball for dodgeball.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. When the website loads, we will be ready to begin.
Okay.
Oh dang, this has taken a while.
Yup.
2.5 hours. Yes, sir.
Oh my lord.
All right, we are ready to begin. Nope, no, we're not. All right, now we're ready to begin. Let me check the stream is going. All right.
Alright. So, now we are going to be talking about the different types of balls that exist and what balls would be the best to play dodgeball with and rank them on a tier maker.
And specifically, we're gonna be pick 9 different balls. A Canadian pigskin ball, right? Because nobody should ever call this a football.
Yes.
Then we have a basketball, some
Yeah.
bouncy balls, a golf ball, a kickball, a ping pong ball, your size 5 soccer ball, a tennis ball, and a volleyball.
Yes. But before we start ranking these balls and what would be the best for dodgeball, we have to talk about a few things. So first, the debate comes up on linear momentum versus angular momentum and what you need to have more of. Do you want more angular momentum or do you want more linear momentum on the ball when you're throwing it? So Dima, what are your thoughts?
Well, in between linear and angular momentum, it's more of a pick your poison kind of thing, really, because with angular momentum, you could have a lot of spin on something and you could throw really cool curveballs. But at the same time, because of conservation, you're gonna have less linear momentum, and the ball is gonna be traveling slowly. And since with the curve, at least for me, I'm gonna have a lot less precision while throwing. I believe linear momentum is a lot better. And as an added bonus, you can hit the other person really hard, which can get quite satisfying, sometimes.
Yes, and
Yes.
that is also very important so that the person does not
Yes.
catch the ball or else you're out. We're playing with those rules.
Yep, that is important.
So
What do you think about
it's
this
safe to
debate?
say
What do you
that both of us take linear momentum much more important than angular momentum, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
And just to specify, what is your line of reasoning behind choosing angular momentum, or sorry, linear momentum instead of angular momentum?
Well, it is the same as yours. So you talked about how with linear momentum, velocity, if you have more linear momentum, then the ball's going to be traveling faster towards the opponent. And in when I played dodgeball, I like throwing the ball very fast, and I don't really like putting too much curve on it because one,
I
I
see.
can't aim it as well,
No, me
and
too. Me too.
two, the ball just seems to go slower, right? And I'm not really a fan of it because when it makes it easier for the other person to catch the ball if it's a slower
Yeah.
ball. So the faster it is, the less likely they'll be able to catch it, and the more likely you'll be able to hit them without the ball
Yeah.
being caught.
I'm glad you're a supporter of linear momentum, and because angular momentum people are objectively worse. And if any of you third graders watching prefer angular momentum, I'm very disappointed.
Yes, but as long as you understand the concepts of momentum we've talked to you about today, we will still be happy.
That is true. That is true. But
Alright.
moving on from linear versus angular momentum, yeah, there's another debate that is really important in this, and that is on mass. Would you want a big heavy ball or a smaller, more lightweight ball, or do you want something in the middle? What do you think about this, Sai?
Well, I would say that I prefer a ball that's somewhere in the middle because mass increases momentum, right? And the more momentum, the better it is to throw at your opponent. But if you have too much mass, it can be counterproductive because then it'll limit the velocity of the ball and you won't be able to throw it as fast. But you can't have mass too little because then there's going to be no momentum because the mass is going to be so small and it'll be super easy for the other person to catch. What do you think, Dima?
So my line of reasoning is a little different, and that partially stems from the fact that I cannot throw very well, which is why I play soccer, and thus I I cannot throw things really well, and because of that, I believe that it's important to have a lot of mass, because that's sort of that if you look at the equation, momentum equals mass times velocity. You want mass and velocity to be as high as possible to have a lot of momentum. But since I'm not gonna be able to create a lot of velocity because of my throwing skills, it is important for me to make up for that by having as much mass as possible. And I know that you, at least, as you constantly say, are very buff, as you call yourself, or muscular, and I guess it makes sense that you will want to create a more of a higher velocity.
Yes. And I think for this comparison, when we look at the ideal person throwing a dodgeball, they will have enough upper body strength to handle throwing these balls at high speeds. So I feel that we should not have the bias of having weaker arms and look at the normal person who can throw all these balls very effectively.
Yep, that is fair. That is fair, and it's important to include that. At the end of the day, this is all subjective, and what works for one may not work for the other. And so we're gonna look at this from more of a general point of view, for an average person who's a lot
Yes,
stronger than me,
yes.
such as Sai,
Stick with the
obviously,
averages.
such as Sai, obviously, obviously.
um, all right. So first, I would say we should start with the basketball.
The
Right. So the
basketball.
basketball has the most mass out of any of the balls here on the list. And though that increases momentum, it also limits the potential velocity that you can have when throwing it for dodgeball, right? So I think, or I at least believe, from a momentum standpoint, it should be F tier because though it's increasing mass a lot, it's limiting potential velocity. And due to that, the total momentum of the ball will be severely decreased when compared to some of the more medium balls with medium mass, which don't limit the velocity as much.
From a general average upper body strength, I suppose that is true. But in my opinion, at least, the basketball is still like that mass since it is very high, and much higher than all the other balls. I don't quite believe it deserves to be after. We can go back and change it, but I certainly believe at least for now it's E tier
Okay. All right.
because at the end of the day, that you're not gonna get that mass anywhere else.
That's fair.
Yep.
We should. I agree with that, and we should put the basketball on E tier.
Yep. We can go back and change this later, so it's all right. If we believe, if we
Okay.
want, if to make our the tier list make sense in the end. All
Yes.
right. Now, let's
All
move
right.
on. Let's move on to the kickball. The kickball has the second highest mass, right? I believe it
Yes.
does.
Of 0.549
Yep.
kilograms.
It's right thing right here. For the kickball, I feel like first of all, it is lighter than the basketball, which which means that uh, if assuming the same velocity, the kickball is gonna fly a lot slower. But at the same time, the kickball I feel like can be is in throwing difficulty. You're gonna throw it about as fast as you would a basketball. And with that difference in mass, I feel like the kickball deserves to be in F tier. What do you think about this, though?
Well, when I've thrown kickballs, I've actually found it significantly easier to throw than basketballs, and they have less of a mass. So, from a momentum standpoint, I feel like there is an increase in mass, or no, there is a decrease in mass, but there's also a severe increase in potential velocity for throwing it, right? So, due to that, I believe that the total momentum can be increased on the kickball than the basketball.
Okay.
So, I think it should be on C tier.
C tier. Wow, that's quite high. Um. Wow. C tier. It's interesting. Um.
Yes.
I suppose the only reason I could consider it to be a higher than the basketball is that since it is a kickball, you can kick it, which means you're gonna get more velocity. At least that's with my case because I don't have upper body strength. So, assuming with that,
Well,
I guess it kind of makes sense. Although, I would, I feel like D tier would be fair though.
D tier. Yes.
All right,
D tier works.
all right. What do we have
All
next?
right. Now, third would be the football, or the football, which is called the soccer ball in America, which has a mass of 0.43 grams. That ranks it
Kilograms,
as the
kilograms.
third highest. Oh, yeah, sorry, 0.43 kilograms. And that ranks it as the third highest ball with mass.
Yep. Obviously I'm gonna be a little biased because it is my sport, but for such a high mass, it's actually surprisingly easy to throw. I feel like, and because first of all, it's a lot smaller than a basketball, and so you're able to generate a lot more power with it and a higher velocity, and because of that, and because it has a higher mass, and and also you can kick the ball really hard. And just because of that, with all of these three factors, I feel like it deserves to be in S tier.
Yes, I can agree with that because when you look at the total list of masses, which we will show later, it seems to be right in the middle. And it seems to be the perfect ball when we look at mass, right? So it has enough mass to be a powerful ball, but it's not limiting your velocity as much,
Yep.
and nearly not as much as the basketball or the kickball, right? And that makes it much better to throw for a game like dodgeball. So
And
I do agree that it should be an S tier ball.
yep. And to add to that, since it has a smaller radius than the basketball and the kickball, that means its moment of inertia is going to be smaller, and therefore its angular momentum will be less, and so that means you can have more linear momentum, which in our point of view is the best thing, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Um, so now let's move on to the Canadian pigskin, also called as the American football, which has a mass of 0.4 kilograms, making it the fourth highest ball with mass.
For those wondering, we're just going down the list in terms of mass.
Yes,
So it is the fourth
yes,
highest.
yes, we are.
What do you think about the
I
Canadian pigskin?
I feel like it should be on A tier because if you look at the difference in mass from the football and the soccer ball, it's only 0.03 kilograms, which isn't much. But I still feel like the football is better just because it has that perfect middle ground in terms of mass. So, looking at that logic, the Canadian pigskin should be very close to the soccer ball. So it should be one tier down, but no less. So I feel it should be an A tier ball.
I agree with that. Obviously, in terms of mass, they're very similar, and essentially, what you get is a slightly slow, worse version of the football in the Canadian pigskin.
Sure, that's
Yeah,
going to enrage many people who like American football rather than soccer.
but those people
But
again are objectively wrong, so it's okay.
subjectively wrong, Dima. Subject.
Nope, objectively. Objectively, in my point of view, they are wrong.
Alrighty,
Yep.
let's move on. Now, next is the volleyball, which has a mass of 0.26 kilograms. Dima, what are your thoughts on the volleyball? What tier should it be placed in?
Well, obviously, it has almost half the mass that the soccer ball does, and its radius is actually about the same. No, no, I apologize. Its radius is actually a lot bigger than its radius is actually a lot bigger than the soccer ball, with it being for the volleyball being 0.1 meters and for the football being 0.001 meters, which is quite a substantial difference. And because of that, and with the mass, I feel like it's actually a real pretty bad ball for dodgeball. Because with the lower mass, and sure you could throw it, I guess, faster, but the soccer ball is also incredibly easy to throw, and I feel like this is the true worst version of the soccer ball for dodgeball, if you're talking in terms of linear momentum. And because of
Yeah.
that, I feel like it's a lot more comparable to in quality to kickball, or maybe even I feel like it could be slightly better because you could throw it faster and you could generate more momentum. But at the same time, I'm not sure. Although it is important to note that their radii are pretty similar. So
Mm.
because of that, I feel like the kickball might actually be higher.
Yes, yes, I agree. Because, one, for clarification purposes, when Dima said the radius of the football, the soccer ball, or the football, it is a size 5. So
Which is the
that,
standard use soccer ball, to be specific. I should have clarified in the beginning.
yes, so that's the specific size that we're using. So back to what Dima said, I agree that the volleyball should be lower than the kickball because even when you throw a volleyball, it bounces much more than you would throw a kickball at something, right? And due to that, you could say that it's much lighter. And the difference in mass is actually a lot, right?
Yes, it's very
And
very big. Yes.
and due to that, we're kind of going lower now. We're going lower from the sweet spot. And mass is becoming too light. It's not limiting our velocity as much, but the ball itself is not being powerful enough to have an impact on the person we're throwing it on. And due to that, I feel like the volleyball should be lower than the kickball.
All right. Next, we have the tennis ball, which has a mass of 0.0577 kilograms. What are your thoughts on the tennis ball?
Well, the tennis ball is a nice small ball. It has a very, very small mass, but it's one of those balls that are very, very fast to throw. Its velocity is not really limited because there's it doesn't have much surface area, meaning there's not much air resistance when you throw it. And it's just for the size of the ball, it's actually a pretty dense ball and can do some serious damage. And it's pretty hard to catch too. So I think it should be around the A tier.
I would say it's B tier, and I'll clarify why. So the tennis ball, obviously, as I said before, a mass of 0.0577 kilograms, and yes, it is slightly lower than that midpoint, or the sweet spot, or where you want a mass, such as where you had with the soccer ball. However, the smaller radius means you can have and the lower mass at the same time too, mean you can generate a bigger velocity. Sorry, and as a result, high linear momentum. However, I feel like the Canadian pigskin, can't be using American football. The Canadian pigskin is, I feel like it's still a little better because the velocity generated combined with the incredibly high mass in comparison to the tennis ball, which is at what, 0.43 kilograms compared to 0.057. Like that's a big difference. And because of that, I think the Canadian pigskin is just above the tennis ball.
Okay, I see. I see. I can agree with that. I I follow your reasoning, and I think it is correct. So yes.
B. So we could put it as B tier or like a low A tier, just slightly lower than the Canadian pigskin. So
I'm actually okay with both, really. They both get the idea across.
alright.
So whatever you feel is fit for the situation.
Then just to to make it look better, but it's gonna be lower. But
Okay.
the difference is very slim and much slimmer than, let's say, between the soccer ball and the Canadian pigskin. Sorry, the football.
Yes.
Amer- American language.
This is
All right.
very confusing for our listeners, but they will
Yeah.
understand.
Hopefully
They
you're
will
following
understand.
along. Now, the
Oh,
golf ball is next, and in comparison to a tennis ball, it does have a slightly smaller mass, but at the same time, it has a smaller radius too. So, in my opinion, those things cancel each other out almost, because a slightly lower radius means that in terms of angular momentum, since when you're calculating moment inertia, it's mass times radius. Because the radius is twice in there, that means that it's gonna have a bigger effect than just having a slightly higher mass, as in linear momentum, for example. And because of that, I feel like the golf ball is actually better than the tennis ball, despite having a lower mass that is a lot lower than that sweet spot that we were talking about. And furthermore, that it's incredibly easy to throw. Its shape fits the hand, and because of that, I feel like it's on par, if not better, than the Canadian pigskin, in my opinion.
yes, but I don't follow what you're saying because I feel like the difference is so small between both of them. Like both of them have the same sizes about, and their masses aren't too far off from each other. So I don't see the harm in putting them in the same tier. Just because even though there is a difference, there's going to be a difference with everything. And if we look at it like that, then there can be no two balls in the same tier. So if there's only a really slight difference like that, then I feel we should put them in the same tier.
In that case, I would agree on a high B tier compared to a slightly lower, but they're gonna be in the same level. Just that little tiny difference, I feel like should be noted.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that works. That works.
All right. Then
All
the
right.
bouncy ball. What are
The
your thoughts
bouncy
on the
ball.
bouncy ball?
Well, it has 0.045 kilograms. So it is much smaller than any of the other balls we talked about.
It's actually almost exactly the same as the golf ball, though, with a 0.00.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
They're
I
incredibly
was
similar.
referring more to like the basketballs and
Oh,
the kickballs, but
yeah,
yeah, it is very
yeah,
similar to the golf ball.
yeah.
But when you look at the size of it, it's a bit smaller, not by too much though. It's only by a hundredth of a meter. So I don't know. I feel like they could be on the same scale, but the golf ball just feels much more dense than a bouncy ball, you know? And I feel
That
like
is true.
it could do much more damage. So the bouncy ball should be lower than the golf ball.
I agree with that, and yes, the obviously the golf ball is a lot denser, and therefore I do feel it can produce a bigger impact on the person. So,
Mm.
would you agree on C tier in that case?
Yes, yes, I would.
All right.
And just as a clarification, at this point, we're looking at the velocities that we're using on all these smaller balls as the same because you can't really limit the velocity at this point because the balls are just so small, right? It's just a matter of how much arm strength you have.
Yep.
So,
And with such small differences in mass, if you were to repeat your throws with each of these balls multiple times, the results probably wouldn't be very different, and it would just be more. It would just be due to nature of every throw not being exactly the same.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
All right.
that is correct.
And lastly, we have the ping pong ball. Now, I love the sport of ping pong, and it's a really great game. But this ball is sucks for dodgeball. It has a significantly the smallest mass with 0.01 kilograms, which is a lot more than the next candidate at the bouncy ball, and even though like sure it has a smaller radius, actually no, it has a bigger radius than the bouncy ball, and about the same radius as a tennis ball and golf ball, and it's also at times it's a bit awkward to throw. I feel like, and it's easy to spin it, so you're not gonna get a lot of speed with it or a lot of velocity of it, and that's why I believe it deserves to be F tier and is by far the worst one here.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with that statement because the ping pong ball just has its mass is just like on a whole nother league, a bad league, a worse league.
Yep.
The mass is just so small and tiny. It's not gonna do any damage to your opponent, and I would be surprised if you could even get it that far to hit them.
Yep. And like to compare, like to put it into perspective, it's like the masses. It's comparing these masses. It's like comparing LeBron James to how you would play at recess. Like I understand that you might have great ball handling, but LeBron James. I'm sorry to say, but LeBron James is as of now better than you. But you will be better
Yes,
than him if you believe in yourself, and that's what you should at the
yes,
very least take away from this. To believe in
like
yourself.
Stephen Curry because
Yes.
Stephen Curry is much better than
Yes.
LeBron.
Believe in yourself and don't believe in the ping pong ball.
Yes, believe in
Yeah.
Stephen Curry.
Yep, him too. Which,
All right.
speaking of him, I feel like they actually might lose the finals, but
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anything could happen.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Those
Right.
are all of our balls ranked
Do you wanna
for
make
dodgeball.
Do you wanna make any changes right now, or
No, I actually think we're good. What about you? Do you have any comments on what we have?
I feel like the basketball might be slightly better than the is better than the dodgeball. Sorry, so better than the volleyball, and I feel like having both of them in E. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that because
Okay, yeah.
they have a
I
very similar radius, and basketball has a ridiculously higher mass.
Yeah, no, that is true. I completely agree with that because the basketball does have a much higher mass and it doesn't make sense to have them both on the same level because when you the basketball limits the velocity but not as much as the volleyball makes the hit less powerful because it has such lower of a mass than the basketball.
Yep. And because of that, I feel like we can safely move it up to D with the kickball. Where,
Yes.
to be honest though, like even looking at it now, the basketball and the kickball in terms of their characteristics are very similar, and I feel like it makes sense that they deserve to be together.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I agree.
And
All right.
to wrap it up, I feel like it's kind of cool that you see both of the extremes on the bottom, because you might think like, oh, you want to have the bigger ball or the fastest ball, but well, not well. You do want the fastest ball. You don't want the ping pong ball though.
Yeah. That
Yes.
is true.
Yes.
You really need the ball that's in the middle, the ball that
Yes.
can do both sides, mass and velocity, equally well, and that ball will give you the highest momentum and the best hit to make you a legend in dodgeball.
Yep.
So when in doubt, choose a soccer ball,
Yep.
not a dodgeball or not any other type of ball.
Yep. So next time you're at gym class and you're in that 1v10 scenario, you run to the locker and get the soccer balls. And then you're guaranteed
Yes.
a victory.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Thank you for watching this, and it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, Sai.
Yeah, you too, Dima.
I feel a little bit of
Alright.
sarcasm, but it's okay. All right. Well,
All
see ya.
right. See ya, guys. Hopefully, you've taken something away from this experience and journey through momentum.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Let's go. Build diff.
Huh?
Build diff.
Oh yeah, you already know.
Oh. That went surprisingly well.
Yeah. My lord.
Alright, I'll stop streaming. I'll edit these later today then.